Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm the owner of a small business called Fauna. I mostly make and sell scrunchies and macrame, but I do a range of handmade accessories and stuff, and I vlog my experiences of trying to run a small business as well as navigating just normal life chaos. And in today's video, I'm hopefully going to be incorporating quite a few things that I enjoy, and hopefully we're going to make some stuff today. So for those of you who are new here, I love upcycling, thrifting and recycling fabrics just because I don't like the idea of my small business adding to the horrific textile waste that goes on in the world today. So where and when I can, I will upcycle and thrift and save fabric from a landfill. I'll turn it into something new, and we're going to be doing a little bit of that today. I'm going to hopefully make two no waste items. One of them is going to be new for me, and the other one, I think if I've got the right fabric scraps and like bits and bobs that I need, then I'm going to be making something I have made in the past. And they're both items that should make my life a little bit easier, and then hopefully if you guys like them as well, they should make your life easier. So whenever I get chance, I'm tackling my scrap collection, because as someone who does work with fabric, I do create a lot of fabric waste and I keep it all. Nothing actually gets wasted. We're talking threads, we're talking offcuts. I keep absolutely everything in hopes that one day when I've got enough, or when I've got the time, I can turn it into something fun. When I then have enough products, I can launch my next no waste collection. So I'm going to be making some items for the next collection. I don't have a date as to when that's going to launch yet, but if you do want to keep updated with like future launches and stuff, check out all the social media and whatnot down below. So we're going to get straight into it. So I've got this box that's full of slightly bigger offcuts and scrap pieces, thrifted pieces, things like that, that were slightly too big to go into my little scrap baggies, because what I do every once in a while when I've got a bunch of scraps in one bag, kind of like this one here, is I will then go through it all and I'll separate all the pieces into colours. So all the tiny little scrappy pieces will just stay in a bag like this and they can be used for stuffing and whatnot, but the slightly bigger pieces will actually get separated into coloured bags. So that way, if I do have a future project in mind, I can easily just grab the colours that I want. And that's kind of how I like stay organised. But I've had this like little bin of fabric pieces that are a little bit, not too big, but like too big to go into those bags, if that makes any sense. The first thing I'm going to do is have a quick look through those different pieces and see if there's any that I can pull from that to turn into the two items that I'm hoping to make today. Okay, so I've got two little piles here, one for each of the items that I am hoping to make, and look how much fabric is still in that box. Honestly, you would be amazed at what you can create from your scraps. Let me pop this away for now, and I will go through these two piles in a second, but let me just quickly tell you about the items that I'm hoping to make. So the first one is actually my jar openers that I've made in the past. Super easy to make and actually really handy. I use mine multiple times a day. Long story short, on one side we have a cute patterned fabric, and on the other side I do also put not necessarily a lining fabric, but kind of a lining fabric. And then on top of that, there's like a no slip grippy fabric, kind of like a foamy rubbery texture. And they're kind of self-explanatory. You just use them to put on top of anything that's hard to unscrew. So jars, lids, different things like that. I am someone who suffers with weak wrists, and I get really like painful wrists and painful thumbs and stuff. So instead of triggering that, I just use my jar opener and it just makes it super, super easy to open things. So that's the first item I'm going to be making. And then the second one is actually something I'm really excited to make, because I need these and I have been wanting to make these for the longest time, because as someone who has a small business, as someone who edits YouTube videos, creates content, all things like that, my life, as some of you will know, is a chaotic mess. And something that I absolutely hate is wires, technology wires, leads. It drives me insane. They're just an unnecessary pain. I hate untangling them. I hate when they're everywhere and it's unorganized. So I want to make some cord organizers, and hopefully these will be a quick, easy project as well. I'm hoping to make them in a range of different sizes, just because that way I can use a bunch of different scraps, and also that way I have multiple ones that I can use for like different types of wires. So for example, the wire and the lead from my iron is quite a thick wire, and it's really, really long in comparison to like my phone charger, which isn't as long and really, really thin. So those are the two items that I'm hopefully going to make today. Pretty easy projects. hopefully. The first one is something I've made before, like I said, and the second one is basically just sewing two rectangles together. I will be probably using poppers, the snap fasteners, as a way to close these organizers, but because it is something that I haven't made before, it's just a little bit of a challenge. And I have mentioned this in some videos recently, but I really want to start broadening my sewing skills, learning new techniques, trying a bunch of just fun, exciting, creative stuff, whether that be like for the business or just for myself. So I'm chipping away at some easy tasks, but that is really something I want to focus on because it is something I'm passionate about and I just love being creative, which leads me on to thank this week's video sponsor, Skillshare. I'm always up for learning something new and broadening my skills in a range of ways, whether that be trying out a new craft for a bit of fun or something that can help me on my small business journey. And that is why Skillshare is an incredible platform for anyone who wants to try something new today. Skillshare offers an amazing range of classes from improving your product photography, illustration techniques, how to start your own YouTube journey, and so much more. One of the classes that I really enjoyed was the Stitchcraft Mini Sewing Stylish Curtains for Beginners by Amy Plant. It was so much fun and I was able to follow along each step really well. It was super easy. I learned about flat felt seams, which is incredible. I've wanted to learn this for a while now. I've been able to start my own pair of patchwork curtains. I'm always looking at different ways I can use up my scraps, being a no way small business, so I cannot wait to keep adding to this over time. There are so many fun classes over on Skillshare that are taught by world-class creatives and professionals, but one of my favorite things about Skillshare is that you can do it all at your own pace. Running a small business is a lot of work and usually finding a spare bit of time to learn something new isn't that easy. But with Skillshare, your classes can be broken down into bite-sized chunks. You can pause and go back whenever you want, making the whole process accessible for those of us who have really busy schedules. I love that I can just curl up at the end of the day on my couch and Skillshare is just ready waiting for me to watch another part of the class. So I am really, really excited to work through all of the classes that I have saved and learn so many new things that can not only help me as a small business owner, but also just me as a creative person who loves to learn something new and try out fun things. And Skillshare are offering you guys a chance to learn something new today too. So the first 500 people to use my link that's down in the description or scan this QR code here will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today and learn something new. So a massive thank you to Skillshare for partnering with me on this video. I'm sure you guys will love their platform as much as I do, but let's get back on into the video. So here are the two piles of fabric that I've got. So these are obviously bigger pieces. So these are going to be for the jar openers. You can make these in a range of sizes. I would just recommend if you are going to make something like this, just make sure it's not too small because most jars or whatever come like a standard size and you need it to be able to like fit over the top to grip the jar. So I do have a red stripe fabric. There's quite a lot there. We've got this blue check print here. I have made quite a few no waste items out of this fabric now and I've still got a bunch left. I've got some leopard print, a pink and purple floral print, some scrap pieces that were actually old curtains, and some of you might recognize this fabric. This is called Malibu in my shop and I make wristlets out of this, and you might recognize this shape if you are a seamstress or you sew. I was very ambitious years ago, way before I'd probably ever touched a sewing machine, and thought I could make myself an intense dress. And typical me, I cut all the fabric out, got really excited and invested in it, and then that was it, gave up, moved on. And I've been chipping away at the stack of that fabric for so long now, and I've made so many fun products out of it, and I still have so much of it left, which is really exciting. So I've got a few pieces of the Malibu there. I also have this fabric, which is quite a thick fabric, kind of like a tie-dye design. I have this piece here, which we've got some fun stripes, and I also have some of this really fun Halloween print. This is from my Blair tote bags from a Halloween collection a couple of years ago, which I absolutely love. So those are some bigger pieces there that we could potentially cut into and use. And then we've got some smaller pieces here for the cord organizers. Again, no idea what size I want to make these, but I have just pulled out some slightly smaller pieces, and hopefully we can get some items out of some of these scrappy bits. See a bit more of the Malibu there. Some of these are the same print as some of the pieces from in here. So we've got our two piles there, got a bunch of tools ready to go, and then I have also just grabbed this piece from my collection of thrifted fabrics. I have no idea what this once was, maybe a bed sheet, possibly a curtain, not a clue, but this was something I found in a thrift shop, so I gave it a good clean, and once it was clean and dry I popped it on a board ready for when I wanted to do a project with it. So bed sheets, pillowcases, anything like that is a really affordable, great way to get a really good amount of fabric for one, a low price, and two, an eco-friendly way, because you're saving it from a landfill, it's not going to waste. So definitely look at your local charity shops or thrift shops if you ever want to get some more affordable large pieces of fabric. This is going to be my lining fabric to an extent. I just prefer to not use all my patterned pieces for both sides of a project all the time. So the plan, for example, say this was one of the cord organizers, right, fold in half like that, there's like a snap there. I would prefer to have the pattern fabric on the outside, and then on the inside I would have like a plain fabric. So same with my jar openers, the pattern fabric is on the top so you get to see that bit, and then there'll be a piece of plain fabric followed by some of this sort of fabric, which is like the non-slip rubbery sort of fabric. Does that make sense? That is the plan. And I think I'm actually going to start with attempting to make some cord organizers. I won't be able to get through all this fabric today, but hopefully we can make quite a few of each of them. Okay, so they're all done, and I like how I said I wanted them to be like different sizes. They're all very similar in size, and that is completely fine. I am trying to figure out if I want to have the pop snap things like that, so it folds in half and attaches, or if I want them to kind of overlap, so it kind of looks like that. I'm not really sure yet. I'm going to give all these a very, very quick press with the iron just to make sure the edges are nice and crisp, and then because we do have an open seam there from when I turn them inside out, I'm then going to top stitch all the way along the top just to close up that edge and give it like a nice finish and stuff. And then the last thing to do for these is just add the snap fasteners, and that is basically it. A super easy project, but it's a really handy item to have, and it's used up a bunch of my scraps. So let's get all those steps done, and then we can move on to the jar openers. I'm also really sorry about the lighting. It's gone really dark outside, and I think there's like another storm brewing, so I've just popped a lamp on for a bit of cozy lighting because the overhead lighting in the kitchen is horrific. So hopefully this cozy lighting isn't too bad, but if it is, I do apologize guys. But let's get the iron out and let's give these a press. So they're all done and they're looking really, really cute, as in like I've done the top stitch and closed them all up. And I love how they're looking so far, even though it is just literally a piece of fabric in the shape of a rectangle. So the final step for these is just adding on those clasps. I think I'm going to wait and do those in a short while because I would like to make some of my jar openers. I'm just going to do the 3 for now because it is getting really dark. The day is getting on. I do have a bunch of errands and bits and bobs that I do need to do today, but I would still like to get a few of these done just because I really like the fabric. So I have just pre-cut 3 of them. So I've gone with the blue check, this brown, blue and white striped one, as well as the Halloween print one. So I've measured the main pattern fabric and cut them precisely, so with straight lines, and then I've just quickly laid them on top of the lining backing fabric and then really roughly and quickly just cut all the way around it. So those pieces are definitely not straight whatsoever. So the next step is very similar to what we've just done with these. I'm basically just going to put good sides facing, so the patterned bit facing the plain bit. I'm going to sew all the way around but leave a little tiny gap, back stitching at the start and back stitching at the end just so I can then turn it inside out. But one thing I am going to do differently is I'm going to add my labels to these. So I've got my labels here. My workspace is getting very chaotic, very messy. I was surprised, so I could do with giving this a tidy later on, but for now I want to get these sewn. So I am going to quickly pin these just so they're not sliding about all over the place, and I will clip my label in there as well while I'm at it. So all I'm going to do for that is grab some pegs, decide where I want the label to go. I'll probably pop this one about here, so that's going to get sandwiched in between the 2 pieces of fabric like that, and I'll pop a little clip there so it doesn't move about, and then I'll just clip each of the sides just like that. So I'm just going to sew using the nice straight edge of the pattern fabric that I cut as a guide. So let's get these 3 done. Oops. Okay, so that's those three all sewn up and all trimmed, and I've also trimmed the edges just so then when I flip them inside out or the right way round, hopefully the corners won't be too bulky, so let's quickly do that. Okay, there we go, all done. So I've just turned them all inside out and gently poked out the corners. So what I like to do next is give them a quick press. And when I've made these in the past, I did get a few people asking me why I don't add the non-slip fabric in as well, you know, like in the sandwich when we sew it, so when I flip it out, it's all kind of together. There's two reasons. One, I don't want super crazy bulky seams, and also I do like to press them now, which is what I just said I was going to do. And with it being like a rubbery fabric, I feel like I might melt it. I'm quite nervous to iron this if the non-slippery fabric is already there. It might be completely fine, but I'm quite clumsy and I also haven't tested it out, so part of me is just kind of scared. So that is why I do it in this strange order. So I'm going to give all of these a quick press, and then I take the non-slip fabric, I lie this on top, I cut out a very rough square, I sew it on, and then I gently trim the edges. Because here's my crusty looking one. This is one of my prototypes from when I first made them. It's got a bit of a coffee stain on it there, but it doesn't look too bad with the raw edges being on like the outside of that slippery fabric and stuff. So those are the next few steps for these three. And then apart from adding on the little snap fasteners for these, we're probably going to be done for the day, which is great. So there we go, 3 no waste jar openers are all made up and finished, which I am very, very happy about. I think these two kind of go well together and could make like a really cute set for someone, just because the blues are like identical. But I love the Halloween print, obviously, because I love Halloween, so I'm kind of tempted to keep one of these for myself, just so I then have a spare. But I'm glad I've got those done, so they can go away ready for when I do my next collection. But we do still have to finish off the cord organizers. So I've got my snap fastener kit, so everything is in here, and then all of the little popper snap things are all in here. These kits are super easy to find online, and they're actually really affordable as well, and come with so many different colors. So I'm going to have a look at each of the straps and then go through and pick a color that I want to use for each of them. And I do think I am actually going to close them like this, so there is like a little tab at the top, because that way you can just grab your cords and whatever. So let's pick out some colors, let's add the pop fastens, and then we are done. We've got a bunch of items made up ready for another no waste collection, which is super exciting. And there we go, we are done. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it. You'll have to let me know if you like these items, if you think they'll be something that you will find useful, or if you're going to give it a go yourself making them. But I'm going to leave it here for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you could give it a massive thumbs up, leave me a comment down below and subscribe if you aren't. All the social media and the website for Fauna Rose is linked down below, so feel free to head on over there and have a nosy in the description. A massive thank you again to Skillshare for partnering with me on this video, so please go and check them out. Once again, use the link down in in the description or use this QR code here to join today. And a final thank you to my wonderful family members for all of their support and for helping keep my small business and my channel and everything going. Guys, you're incredible. Thank you so much. But apart from that, I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!